to 50 goddesses, spirits, saints, and other female figures who have shaped belief. We're almost done. Written by Dr. Janina Ramirez, and it's edited by Sarah Walsh. So today we're on Hel. Is that how you say it? Hel. The Norse Guardian of the Underworld. Remember, we recently learned what the Norse are. The Nordic, is that the same? Is the Norse the same as the Nordic? What was that? Finland? Wait, was Finland part of it? I don't remember. Sweden, Denmark. Norway, I think it was. The road to Hel. So it says that Hel is the only daughter of the Norse trickster. Remember god Loki? We know Loki from Marvel, I believe it is. So she's Loki's daughter. So let's just start there, right? And her mom was a giantress. So kind of a giantress would be like what? The female version of Hulk, like a giant, named Angrboda. Is that how you say it? She's a guardian of the underworld, and she shares her name with her brothers, who are serpents, Jormungandr and the wolf Fenrir. Is that how you say the names? But they would take animal forms. She took a woman form with a fierce-looking face. So I guess that fierce-looking face is like her face is kind of like the Phantom of the Opera, maybe. You know, like half black, half white. What is fierce-looking? I don't know. So they were concerned that the god Odin was concerned that Loki's kids would wreak havoc, right? They're going to cause trouble in the future. The father is Loki. Evil. Is he evil though? I don't know. Marvel makes him evil. And so basically he decided to separate them. The King Odin decided to separate her and her brothers. He basically put the wolf in captivity, and he threw the serpent into the sea. And the serpent would just basically be biting itself, its own tail. And it's wrapped around the world. However, Odin gave Hel an important job. He told her that he would to provide a home for those who died of sickness and old age. So she was basically the goddess of the underworld. You're going to take care of these people. During the Viking phase, the universe was sometimes described as having 9 realms, right? So they were held within the branches of a sacred tree, right? Sacred geometry. Trees are seen as sacred, just as triangles, and that whole thing has its own meaning across cultures. But here, humans live in Midgard, is what it says. So this 3D world maybe is considered the Midgard within the Viking period, or the Norse, and the gods live in Asgard. So the gods live in Asgard. Maybe Asgard would be like heaven, or I don't know what realm. It's called Asgard. What number realm is that? Is Asgard? I have no clue. So here, heroes feast for eternity on Valhalla. So Valhalla is a realm where the heroes feast. And Hel is a guardian of the dead who live in Niflheim. Niflheim, is that how you say it? So she is a guardian of that realm, the underworld, Niflheim, the land of mists and shadows. And so she lives in Helheim. I thought it was Niflheim. She lives in Helheim, in a huge mansion where countless zombies are servants to her. They treat her like the mistress of the dead. Basically, she eats her food from a plate called Hunger, and she cuts with a knife named Famine. That's what it says on page 60. And when she feasts, those around her starve. So she moves like a billionaire, you know, kind of like greedy. Everybody's still starving while you're eating. So do the billionaires turn to Hel? I think they might turn to Hel. Not where God devil is, but like Hel, her, this woman, this goddess of the underworld. Is that why it's called Hel? Oh, is that why Hel is called Hel? I have no clue. I'm just making the connections now. Is that why Hel is called Hel? Because Hel is a guardian of the underworld, which is seen as a place of the dead. This is new. At the center of Hel's kingdom is a bubbling, boiling spring of water, protected by a dragon. Oh, is that why they think dragons are demonic? So this is a source of life and everything will eventually return to it. Volcanoes, I've been learning the important role of volcanoes. We all come from volcanoes. If it weren't for volcanoes, there wouldn't be any life on Earth because they provide carbon dioxide, I believe it is. But also volcanoes and carbon dioxide is also our downfall, which is what we've seen. It is very true based on this book. The thing that gives you life will be the same thing that gives you death. The goddess of life will be the goddess of the underworld. And so volcanoes, remember Pele was a goddess of volcanoes within the Hawaiian culture. That's what I've been learning on Earth, like in real life, in real time, in science. Why humans were basically self-destructing is because we're emitting so much carbon dioxide, CO2, more than volcanoes. And this Earth, apparently this planet has already self-destructed 5 times already, throughout that we know of. 5 times in history, everything, just like over 98% of the planet just died. Everything, there's no life. And that was volcanoes, because there was so much carbon dioxide in the air that it created a heat dome, and basically life couldn't live, and so everything died out. So that's what I've been learning. And the fossil fuels that we're burning is creating so much carbon dioxide that the ozone layer is trash. When the ozone layer is trash, more sun comes down. The North Pole and the Arctic and all of the ice is melting. The icebergs are melting. The icebergs melt. It creates more water flow, which actually makes the water current stop and become more stagnant. Which I've been really thinking about, right? Because currents are needed to bring food throughout the ecosystems and water and life, blah, blah, blah. But the more ice melts, the more water going into the sea, which then throws the whole ecosystem off, which changes the weather, which we're seeing the climate crisis, which is why everything is worse, flooding, droughts, all of it. The elephants are dying, animals are dying off, more species are supposed to die off right now. Like, things are becoming extinct. We're seeing it. But because we're at the top of the food chain, nobody cares. Well, not nobody cares, but a lot of billionaires don't care. For sure, they don't care. We're at the top of the food chain. No, we're here forever. The Earth is, and it is because it's everything just got so messed up that 98% of the planet just completely died off. But there's still like 2-3% that still goes back, right? And here we are, even through all of that destruction. So I do understand it, in that the Earth is brilliant system that will self-correct itself, even if it means it gets rid of all of us, which is what we're doing for her. We're just dropping bombs to kill people, heating up the planet. You saw what happened recently in France. Over thousands of people were dying in France because of the heat wave. People are like, oh, just get an air conditioner. Same thing is happening in British Columbia. Acorn's been running out my phone talking about heat right now because it's a huge thing, right? Not everybody can afford an AC, and even for those who can, when the power goes out and you're disabled, there's a whole mess. But let's go back to this topic. It just reminds me of the climate crisis. This is a source of life for everything, eventually returns to it. The great rivers all flow out of Hel's realm, which is surrounded by high walls, is what it says. The gates of Niflheim are protected by a huge blood-stained hound named Garm. Again, this blood showing up. So Hel is a really important part of the death of the heroic god Baldr. Is that how you say his name? Him and his most loved son, he was the son of Odin. Odin's a god, right? And Frigg. But while he was a child, his mother dreamed that he would be killed. So basically she was terrified. She gave him powers that meant that any object thrown at him would simply bounce off. So her mom gave her an object of powers. Anything that comes towards him bounces off of him. And she forgot to include was mistletoe. So one day the gods were having fun throwing around missiles and watching them fly off of Baldr. Loki tried something different. Basically, he was like, I'm going to make a spear of mistletoe. He gave it to Baldr's blind brother, who told him to throw it through the air. It hit Baldr and killed him, and he was taken to Hel's kingdom to live among the dead. So basically, Hel kept the hero with her, but Baldr's mother couldn't live without him, so she was like, oh, can you she asked one of his brothers to ride on Odin's 8-legged horse and beg Hel for her son back, right? Nepotism. Oh my god. Okay, let's go straight to the goddess of the underworld to ask for him back. So they thought carefully. She made a pledge. If all creatures alive or dead wept for Baldr, then she would let him return. But if just one person refused to cry, then he would stay dead forever. So basically everyone grieved for their god. One woman alone wouldn't shed a tear. I love that it's a woman. Could this woman be Loki in disguise? Yeah, that probably would also be Loki. And so basically with this, Hel managed to keep Baldr with her, and he would not return again until the end of the world. And so basically Hel's name comes from an Old Norse word meaning to cover, which ironically in Germanic also means shame. I don't know if that's a connection, but in Old Germanic language, the word shame was also meant to cover. So just wanted to put that out there. So it's probably a reference to her being buried after death. And you wonder if the word, Hel comes from the name of the deathly kingdom, which is what I did. Is Hel in Christianity the same thing? The two are very different, is what it says here. Hel is icy and cold, while Hel is fiery and hot. So two different things. She's she's cold and icy, and Christian Hel is hot. Okay, so basically she's associated with dead. That's why she's shown as half living and half decaying. Oh, that's what the black and white is. I guess the white is a life pure, and the black is her death and the decay. Shocking. And she's not particularly pleasant. This is not a place of torture or horror. It's not like hell, like Christian hell. It's just a place where people that are not heroes or warriors in life end up after death. So maybe like the ordinary man, the everyday person. You weren't a hero. You weren't an emperor. So you just go to her realm. Okay? So this is how the Norse Guardian of the Underworld. 50 goddesses, spirits, saints, and other female figures.